Today we're in Genesis chapter 25, and it starts off with Abraham taking another wife. So this is interesting. He ends up having more children. So these are like half brothers of Isaac, the child of the promise. And then it says that Abraham lived to 175 years. He breathed his last, and he died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and he was gathered to his people. So then we're going to now sort of stop following Abraham directly, and for the next, really for the rest of the Old Testament, we're going to follow his descendants. But first, the author shows us in verse 12 what happened to Ishmael, the son of Hagar. You can read that for yourself. And then we scroll down here to Isaac now, the son of the promise. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. And so as you read this, you see that Isaac prayed to God for Rebekah because she was barren. She couldn't have any kids. God granted the prayer. Rebekah conceives. She ends up getting pregnant with twins. And it says that when she gives birth, the first came out red, and they called him Esau. And afterward, his brother came out holding Esau's heel. So he was named Jacob. Jacob has kind of a double meaning. He clutches the heel, but it also has a sense of being a deceiver. And you'll see why here as we see the rest of the story. In verse 28, first, though, it says that Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game. So Esau was a hunter, but Rebekah loved Jacob. So Jacob's kind of a mama's boy a little bit here. And then we get to this really famous story where Esau, the oldest, sells his birthright. Now I'll let you read this story, but the significance of this is the birthright, and especially for Abraham, the promise that God made to Abraham in Genesis 12, that promise would be passed on through Abraham's descendants. And according to tradition of man, Esau was the one who should have gotten that blessing because Esau was the oldest. But it turns out that that's not really how it always works. Jacob sort of fools, tricks Esau, and Esau sells his birthright. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow in Genesis 26, but the significance of it for now, again, as you read this is sort of tracing the promise of God that he had given to Abraham. And just pay attention to this idea. As you read the Old Testament, as you read the New Testament, man can have his plans. We can have our traditions, but at the end of the day, God is in control. At the end of the day, the blessings that come to us come through God. And when I read this, it's almost like, this story, even though there's some, things that happen that you question, like how could God bless Jacob who tricked Esau? It seems a little bit deceptive. We already saw that Abraham's not perfect either. And I think one of the takeaways is people are imperfect and God blesses us in spite of that because it's God's plan, it's God's story, not really ours or man's. So you're ready to read Genesis 25. We'll see you tomorrow for 26.